You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Well, it is winter. It is officially here. I can't even deny it. I mean, winter is, as they say, winter is coming, or winter is near, or winter is here. It is here. And, for a little bit, I was getting used to this, climate change of sorts that, okay, there'll be a little chilly breeze, but it won't be deep. But it is getting real. They say it's going to snow this time around. It's going to, I'm going to have to put these coats to good use, which I'm not bothered. I really did do some good shopping during the holidays. I have like all kind of coats for different elements of this climate change. I got the 55, 60 degree, situation. I got the 30 degree, 20 degree jacket, which I don't really think I'm going to have to pull out too much, but I got that. I got it's going to snow, but it's still not going to fuck up my outfit jacket, if that makes sense. I'm playing around, but I'm ready. It's been a minute since we've had some snow in Philly, so I'm just kind of like, is it going to be a real snow, or is it going to be like that? You know how people do the whole Instagram video of, oh my God, it's snowing, look out the window. And then 20 minutes you look out the window and you're like, oh, it must have went away. I missed out. And perhaps maybe the only way is if somebody recorded it and put it online. But other than that, you don't have a clue. So we'll see. Some of y'all will be asking well, what did you do for MLK Day? Nothing, not a damn thing. I relaxed. I'm relaxing. It's not happening here. And if you don't know why, you can Google. I did an article many, many years ago. Actually, it was in 2020. But I had been wanting to do it for a long time. It's so funny. My editor at Philly Mag at the time, we were doing, I forget what it was. I think it was 2019. We had an email that said that there wasn't any work for real on MLK Day, but there was this invitation to do community service. And I remember being like, oh, I'm not doing community service. I'm going to stay home and chill. And they were just like, oh, why? What's your reason? And as if, it wasn't already implied. And I was like, well, because I'm Black. Because why do I need to do community service at MLK Day? I think my people have been in service for a long time. And quite frankly, I don't even know if that was his dream. I don't know if that was Dr. King's dream to do labor. He really much so was pro-labor and respected sick days and off days and people getting paid equitably. I don't think doing service on a federal holiday actually embodies, what he believed. And I don't actually think it makes sense for Black people specifically. If you want to do it and this person was white, then, by all means. But I'm not doing it. And I remember he was like, that would be a good op-ed. That'd be a good piece. So just FYI, when y'all be thinking I just come out of the box with running with these pieces and that there's these white editors somewhere scared. No, the good ones actually lean into my thought process. They actually, will encourage me to write something that I didn't even think was worthy to even write as an actual column. And so, that's what it looks like to work in a newsroom that encourages diverse opinions, not suppress them. And so what's funny enough is that actually, I think, next week, it will be 8 years at Philadelphia Magazine. 8 years. And moments like that is why it's been nearly a decade. I've enjoyed writing and producing content on various levels and going to be continue to do that in 2024. Wow. But I remember the piece. So in 2019, they said, we said, set a calendar. I will remind myself in a year to do this. And nonetheless, it was early 2020 before this pandemic. Oh my goodness, could you imagine? And I wrote this piece and basically said that this is why I don't celebrate MLK Day or do service on MLK Day. Like I do celebrate it. Like I reflect on this man's life, this legend's life. And we're going to talk about others who have kind of reflected on his life in the wrong ways. Mr. Jonathan Majors, we got something for him. I've had to process a lot of what was going on in that Good Morning America interview, which I knew was going to be a hot mess. I knew, like, you just know interviews like that, like something is bound to happen. But yeah, we'll get there. But there's a lot there. There's a lot about a lot of things, as you can see in the title of this podcast episode. I have to get some things off my chest. I knew this was going to be a Cat Williams era. But again, is it really a Cat Williams era? Because I've been keeping it 100 before that, Shay Shay, Club Shay Shay, which I hate that title, interview. But I need to say a couple of things about my peers in the industry. And no shade. You know what I mean? Well, you all will call it that. But there's going to be some things that need to be said. But, I'll leave it there. So for starters, this has been a very Capricorn heavy moment in my life. This week, lots and lots of birthdays. Last weekend it was George's birthday, my fellow Lip brother. Then this past week was my mom's birthday. She went to Vegas with her girls. They had a fabulous time. They had a really good time. She loves Vegas. Like, it's just, you can't take her. You can't take her anywhere else. She just knows it up and down. She's a pro. As a result, I think I've been to Vegas like 3 times in the past 2 years, which my father-in-law lives in Vegas. My mother loves going to Vegas. And so as a result, I've gone to Vegas for various reasons. And it's cool. It's actually fun. It's pretty cool. But in my mind, I'm like, if I'm going to go all the way to Vegas, why can't I go to LA? But I will say Vegas I get it. I think Vegas has a lot of things connected to it that makes you feel like you're in like 4 different cities. Like there's a part of it that feels like, okay, Vegas as you know it. But then there's areas that make you feel like you're in some, like a hot desert vibe, low key travel vibe. If you get out of the strip, you're in Nevada for real. Then there's like elements of it that you feel like you're like at nighttime, you're in this international, like decked out city. If you're in some nice hotel and there's a rooftop and it's a different energy where you're like almost like, am I even in the in the US? There's just different pockets. And then Vegas has this energy that's not the same as the current, Vegas Strip. It's just I just felt like there were different parts when I would go, that made me feel like I was like in different cities. I can't describe it, but it's unique. So I get it. If you want to maximize fun, and if you know how to, gamble with the big ones, go to Vegas. So yeah, she's in Vegas with her girl. She had a good time. Then of course, Josh's birthday was the next day, my lip brother Josh. And then 2 days later, it was, Dr. Parks. She had a lovely birthday. She had a birthday brunch at Harp and Crown, which was so damn good. I like Harp and Crown. I've always been a fan. I love their brunch. I was just talking to one of my homies, Jamarcus. We were just having a chat. And I think I said something along the lines of, there are some restaurants in the city that I'm like, why I haven't gone? And it's because I think I had experiences with ex friends there, and so mentally, when I shut them out, I shut a place out. Does that make sense? Like it's like I don't know if you had certain friends and there were places that you went with them or frequent them. There's a memory there, and like you when you check them out, you check the place out. There's places like that. I don't want to name them because I don't want to hurt people. Well, actually, okay, I'll name one place. Like Harp and Crown was one of those places, but it was weird because it's not that I didn't like Harp and Crown. It's just I was like, why haven't I gone here in a minute? And I think it was because I frequented with another person that I don't talk to anymore. And so when I went back there, it was like, oh wow, this is okay. This is still existing, and I can re cement this in a unique way. So that was one place. Another place which I don't really go to because it's like there's so many other good places to go to, but Roof Chris Steakhouse. I used to go there for happy hour with someone I used to be really good friends with, and I used to always go there. Like now, mentally, I can't even see it as a happy hour place. So it's just little places like that, but nothing extremely major, I would say. And then there was Axum that I did a lot of brunches at. But Axum in West Philly fell off. I kid you not. I'm not even gonna did I throw shade? No, that's not really shade. It's just the truth. It's like Axum is just not what it used to be. And I've come to accept that. Sometimes you just have to accept reality. Like there was a time, but that time has passed. Um and then everything else either were places that are no longer around or just fell off in general, where it's like I don't even have a reason to go there. So yeah, I thought about that. But her brunch was great. It was a buffet style, of course. And they don't do like bottomless mimosas. I feel like a lot of places not doing there are some places though. Okay. Butcher Bar. I forgot. Butcher Bar. That's a good one. Because Butcher Bar, what I like about them, just it's just random, is that they're $48 and it comes with the package. But see, you just got to make sure you plan. You got to plan. Because in my mind, I was like, there's another place that do this. And I know White Dog has been legendary, but we did White Dog in our college years. And I'm thinking to myself, there's another place. And I was like, it hit me Butcher Bar. And I just realized it because Butcher Bar is like 48 per person. And they do Bloody Marys, unlimited Bloody Marys, margaritas, mimosas, and yeah, and I think those are the three. And then they do like you pick an entree, but it's not buffet for the food though. So Harp and Crown got the buffet for the food, but it's multiple courses. Like it's like a little appetizer, and then there's like a main course, and then you have the consistent drink flow, and it's 48 per person. So mentally, I was thinking about that. But if no one grabs that brunch, it might be my next little situation because I'm trying to figure out like when I think of places that maximizes value. But Harper Crown was good. The way they do their situation with drinks is they have a bottle, of sparkling wine for 30, and then they bring, orange juice, whatever juice of preference, so you can, do your thing. And so that wasn't bad. It was reasonable. It was a good brunch. I just think with buffets, it's just you gotta hit that, you gotta hit that climate where the lines are not as long. There's different parts. And they have an egg station and it makes omelets. And the guy he makes incredible omelets. But I just think like I wonder if they would have just had a regular egg station. You know who else has a really good brunch? And I was sleeping on them too. Bank and Bourbon in Center City. People sleep on the bacon bourbon, but they have a real ridiculous brunch that's like $30. But it's not unlimited. You can add on like bottles and things too. But that brunch buffet, I like their flow because I think they do the omelet situation, but they also just have regular eggs for folks who don't want to wait, because that omelet wait was wild. But they have your own, you can make your own waffles. They have like a very mixed, a very, very, very rich brunch. That one was real, fancy too. It's good, but I liked Harp and Crown like I love how they did the slice prime rib situation. That carving station was real good. And so like I did like a steak and egg situation, kept it real cute. But yes, it was a fabulous birthday brunch. And she liked her gifts. And it was great. The boys and I, the Lip Brothers and I, we all went to Super Froli, which is this wine bar on 15th and I want to say Spruce. It's like on that strip where Enswell is, for those who like Enswell, that, the coffee infused cocktail spot that has like no reservations. Super Foley also doesn't do reservations, which is like, I mean, the thing I'll say is that it wasn't a crazy wait. It was like you go in, there's a flow, but it can be hit or miss with those places. But I guess it works because it's like a bar. And so people don't necessarily frequent at a bar like excessively long. So, people come and go and there's a rotation. You just gotta know when to hit the rotation of a place. But the place and God rest his soul, okay, because the food was good. But Miss Tootsie's, I don't understand restaurants. Like I remember Miss Tootsie's, that was trauma. The food was good, but the wait was traumatic. Like restaurants that just like big popular restaurants that don't do reservations. I just don't get it. Like how do you have a restaurant and expect people to, I mean, people are rolling the dice. You have, I will never forget Mr. Johnson and I went on a date. This is when we was first dating, I think the first year. And we just remember thinking, oh, we're going to go Friday night to Miss Tootsie's. I'll never forget. It was like a little line around, I think we went around 7-ish. There was a waiting line just out there. And we were like, and I just remember I was just like, I was like, you didn't make reservation? And he was like, they don't do reservations, but I just figured, since we wasn't doing much, we can just, it wouldn't be too bad. Y'all, we were waiting for about a good 30, 45 minutes. And the crazy part is that how they got us is that once you're there, you don't want to leave because you realize you didn't make reservations anywhere else. And you're also kind of like, well, since I already came down here, I just got to hold on. And so that's what it was. And the only way you could make reservations, I remember, was that you had to have 6 people for a party. So you had to have like a birthday party, a dinner party, or something to get reservations. And I feel like that place was made. They purposely like wanted to be the spot to do birthday parties and celebratory things. They really, I mean, they really were not made for couples unless you live in the neighborhood and you can wait. It was weird. So it was hard to make, reservations and go. It was like the only time I ever actually would go would be when there were like parties. There were, you know, dinner parties for friends and things like that. But other than that, I never really could do Miss Tootsie's as frequently as I would wanted to because of that no reservation. So it's always a roll of dice. I mean, I advise people, restaurants and places that I would tell people to go to, but I'm really like, if there's no reservations, I don't like to play with folks because I know the impact of like my recommendations on lists and things. And so if a restaurant doesn't do reservations, and unless it's like a massive restaurant where there's always space, like I feel like Hard Rock Cafe in Philly, which I think is fairly decent. A lot of people are always like, Hard Rock. I'm like, have you been there? It's not bad at all. I actually enjoy it. It's one of my like little spots where like I just want something casual and hot and consistently good. Um, I don't make reservations when I go, but a lot of times, it doesn't take too much because it's so spacious. It doesn't take too much of a wait if because there's always a rotation in that place. I don't go to Chili's anymore. I don't really do too many chain restaurants, but I think restaurants like that are spacious like that has a rotation, you could slide in without a reservation and be okay. A lot of places can't say the same. You know what I mean? Like a lot of places are not built for that. And so it's always interesting when a small place does not do reservations. Because I'm just kind of like, you really like to turn people down at the door. Or you like to tell people to wait. You like that anticipation. You like to feel like you that popping club to say we got a 30-minute. Okay, you make a person wait long, they ain't gonna stay long. Okay, but I digress. Super Frole was great. It was a really good wine bar. Just really fun. It's just a fun place to just sip on. Like it's really rare to find great places where you can get a good glass of wine, a great glass of wine, to be honest. They had some really good wine up in there. But like a great glass of wine, a couple of cool cocktails in between, and some really well done meaty bites. They have a sausage, a spicy sausage up in there. And I know that is so random, but they have this really good ass sausage in there that I'm still craving because I think we ordered it like 4 times because it was just that damn good. Like we were going through the menu and trying different things. And this was one of the last things we got after we went through the menu. And it was so good that we had like 4 times. It was a problem. It was a problem. But it was dope. It was good. And we celebrated, 2 Lit brothers' birthdays, 2 Capricorns. And it was a really fabulous outing. It was really dope. What else? What else? Oh, yes. So I went to Rosie's Taco Bar East, and I have to say, because I know this is going to be a thing, I have to say that I think I like the new Rosie's Taco East, which is in South Philly, more than I like the one that's, I want to say, West, which there's one on that 20th. The original one's on 20th and Walnut. They claim they're a Rittenhouse, but I kind of feel like that's going westward. Like it's on that border between Rittenhouse and University City, right before you hit that bridge to University City, right? I think I like the Rosie's Taco Bar East, the newer one that's in South Philly. It's where Lestage used to be. For those who remember Lestage, R.I.P. Lestage. Lestage was this really fun, kinky, like drag burlesque dining situation. And actually it was one of the best that did it. Like there's a lot of places right now popping up and doing drag brunches, and I feel like it's overkill. I feel like every time I turn around, there's some drag brunch. And listen, I'm gay. I love drag shows. Like I'm not one of those people, but I'm just like, I get a little annoyed when there's a lot of like these straight owned bars and restaurants that just do one. And it's almost like it's the same people. It's the same type of set. And I don't have anything against the drag performers that consistently get your bag. But in a way, all of it just feels so redundant. And I feel like it's a cheap, sleazy way to try to get customers to go to your place. Like, it reminds me of, what's that place called? Oh my goodness. When everyone was doing karaoke, like everything was karaoke. Karaoke this, karaoke that. That's died down a little bit, thank goodness. But I just feel like it's become the new like karaoke thing where it's like you just want to just allure people to the place. And it's like, let the food do its thing. I don't know. I'm just not crazy on spectacle. Unless you're a place that can, have the capacity to do spectacle. I just feel like a lot of people just get a little lazy. And I feel bad when I see some of the performers at some of these places that are too tight. There's too many seats. There's just too tight to try to pull off a drag brunch. Because drag performers, the really talented ones are going to give you a show. I mean, the costumes, the dancing, they need space to do their thing. And sometimes I've seen shows where it's so tight, it's hard to actually pull off a performance. So I don't know. I've noticed that trend. And so anyway, Lestage used to be there. It's at the new Lestage, which was spacious to do a really good drag show. This new Rosie's Taco East, I love it because it is a bigger restaurant. It feels more spacious. The food just seems to be more consistent. I remember when Rosie's Taco Bar in Rittenhouse slash U City-ish were together, I felt like they were it started off really good, and then I think after the pandemic they got really like delivery type energy. Like I feel like it's better. I mean, if it's a late night and you're craving tacos, you want someone to deliver something quick. It felt like this was good for Uber Eats, but it didn't feel as good to have as a sit down dinner vibe. But it was cute. It was a cute happy hour, for sure. But I did like Rosie's Taco Eats. It was really good. Another thing that I really, really liked. So my husband, yes, he's such a thoughtful man, got me a Samsung watch because I'm Team Android. He upgraded his Apple Watch this year, and I kind of wanted to explore the watches because I was rocking some of my really, really nice watches too much. And when I got them polished and cleaned, I was like, I don't want to wear them. Like I have a Movado, like a silver Movado watch that I love down. And I wore that watch almost every day last year. Like it was a Rolex. And I loved it, but I realized I should not be wearing this watch like everywhere all the time. So this year I am, increasing and doing different things around just, I don't even want to call it New Year's resolutions, but I'm trying new things out, just mixing and matching my style, lifestyle, all kind of things. I'm just doing different things. And so this Samsung watch is so dope. I love it. I actually think I like it. I like it better than the Apple Watch, quite frankly, because I love it how it's spacious, it's round, the bezel on it, it looks like a regular watch. I feel like the Apple Watches are just too sleek and too thin and too weird, but the Samsung watches and the way the face looks is sexy, it's cool. It does all the things I need to do. And one of the things I love is, I love this. They have a really good step monitor where you can count your steps, which I know is everyone's phone do it. I get everybody's watch do it. But I've really been I've been doing this goal of I'm shooting for 10,000 steps a day, and I've been hitting my mark. And anytime I feel like my mark is not being fast enough, I love walking and talking on my phone around my house. And it's put me to work, if I'm not, trying to go to someone's gym. But I've been loving it. It has challenged me to get the fuck up and move around. And I was already doing it, but I've been more conscious of it lately because of the watch. So I feel like the watch has put me to work in unique ways. Especially in Center City, because I'm a Uber girl, especially when it's cold. This skin, baby, you see this face. I can't just put it in the cold air for extended periods of time. But last week, I'm doing a facial. I'm doing a cryotherapy facial series at Kensington, which for those who've been asking about facials, cryofacials, it's the one that does the cold. It's the cold facial situation. I've been doing that. Love it. Preserving is sexy. It's my first thing. Like I do it in January and I don't do it for the rest of the year because it just does what it needs to do. And then, and pretty much it maintains itself for the rest of the year for me. Some people, they may do it twice a year. I don't feel like you need to do it no more than 2 times a year, depending on your age and your range. If you're, I would say late 40s, 50s and up, maybe twice a year. You might want to do January and then want to come and do it in June. But for my people that's under 40, or even people, my black don't crack people that's in their early 40s, just once a year, I would say. But it's gorgeous. It's fun. It's no Botox. It's non-surgical. No shade for people that do Botox. Do what you got to do. Do what you like to do. It's your body. It's your choice. But this is a cool way to just, tighten and firm without any, surgicalness or anything like that for people who didn't know. It's non-invasive. But it's fun. So I love it. I love cryotherapy. So I did it. I went up for my round on Friday, and because I had the watch on, I was just gonna catch an Uber and go down to Macy's. I know, and if you know which Ernest I go to, you already know this is wild. So I said, no, why won't I just, walk to CVS down over here on 15th and Spruce, walk there, walk to my office over at Pipeline, then walk over to Macy's, which I haven't been to that Macy's in a minute, and I heard it was going down over there, so I was a little like, But I said, look, Friday afternoon, it shouldn't get too spicy, which it didn't. But I noticed that Macy's a little dead, like it felt dead, and I was trying to figure out why. I feel like ever since that shooting or whatever happened, people have just not been going in there as much. I don't know. It just was very dead when I went. But I went for some cologne, and so I had to stock up on my scents. And I did a little lecture, and I'm big on this. I want to tell all of my men specifically, because women, I know a lot of women who are big on cosmetics and they keep up with it, even if they don't are not like obsessed with it. But for my fellas, um, one, I want you all to let go of your codependence on Creed. Let me just say that. I know I started on talking about my steps, which, the good thing was when I was doing the steps, I did walk around and I got some New Balances. Yes, yes, Ernest is wearing sneakers. Not all the time, but what I've recognized is, y'all not going to get a loafer on me when it's not a loafer occasion. Like, I'm just breaking habits. I'm not saying they're bad habits. It's just that I'm just being more thoughtful about navigating my routines. So I've thrown sneakers in the mix because I need to move. And sometimes I'm like, why am I not moving around as much? Oh, because I got these cute shoes on. Why did I wear these cute shoes outside? Was I going anywhere major? No. But I was trying to be a fashionista. Okay. So I run errands in New Balances, which is so Philly because I got like the black gray ones. Y'all know it's giving real comfortable, but it's really comfortable. And so my mindset makes me feel like, okay, I can get my steps in and get out there and do my thing. And so I feel like I can run errands. I feel like I'm let me be quiet. Uh, no, I was going to say, I feel like the trade because I will be in some black sweatpants. Like I'll have a real cute little fit. And I'm like, look at me looking like somebody's snack. And listen, I've seen it because I'll go to like, Sweet Green or something over there. And the girls, I'm like, look, baby, no hetero, baby. No hetero, honey. This, my man he won't let me talk to you, girl. He don't, I don't be out here swinging. And I'm not judging swingers. I'm just saying. So, this girl got a little too excited. Sweet Green. I said, ooh. But my fit was just giving that though. She was checking me. I was looking like I was, it's just, I don't know. Maybe the nails were too subtle. Or maybe just too many straight men are trying to get their nails done, which I have no shade against them. Like the straights can do it, but see, y'all, there was a time where I could do indications, and did I have my telfar with me that day? I don't think I wore it that day because I was making errands, and so probably it was just a lot of indicators that would have been a different vibe. Because normally when I go out, the girls are like, "Oh, I love your nails," and they get it, and it's an invitation for them to. Or they like my telfar bag. They'll say, "Oh, I love your telfar," and they'll do that. And no, okay, he's gay, which they shouldn't assume. But I mean, if you assume with me, baby, it's his clear, baby. The blouse comes right out. This comes out. But I can crack jokes like that on myself because I know, right? And I know that no one's gonna say that. But then the funny part is, Mr. Johnson. Oh, my husband. Oh, y'all. He gets it. He gets it often. It's funny. Like he goes places before. Like there'll be a restaurant. We'll go to a restaurant. He might hit the reservation before I go, or I come a little late. And the girl at the reception at the front. Oh, she getting her life, and she's thinking, oh, for two, it might be him, his girlfriend. And then here I come, and she's like, oh. And it's funny because it's the old moment because then they get super like straight women are so hilarious. Like no, they're hilarious because they'll see that like it's always it's like a script. They'll see him, they think he's really hot, he's really cute, whatever, and then they'll be all into him, fangirling, and then I'll come into the mix and he'll be like, oh, this is my husband, this is my and then the whole tone goes into oh this is so cute, and then they become a different the whole energy's different, and so it becomes like it goes from ooh, I want a piece to, ooh, this is so adorable. Because they're like, okay, well, at least it's not another girl because, then I would have been like on my competitive salty shit. But it's a guy. So that means he's not into girls, which means, oh my God, he's even cuter. I think that's what it is. I don't know. I could be reading it wrong, but I've been told otherwise. A girl told me this actually. True story. True story. She told me this. Like a girl really told, like she was like, I didn't know you and Barry were together. I'm like, where have you been? Anyway, it's like, where have you been, girl? But did she put the pieces together, I guess. I'm like, I digress. The girl. Listen, this is almost it's giving Jonathan Owens, except there's two prizes. Over there is only one prize, and that's Simone Biles. Jonathan Owens is her husband. No relation to me. Okay, just want to be clear. There's been a lot of problematic Owenses in the world, and so I know that I'm like the only non-problematic Owens in y'all life. There's Candace, there's Jonathan now. It's a lot of different Owenses. I mean, it just seems like me and Jesse are the only ones holding it down for the Owens with dignity. Catch that if you didn't catch that. Me and Jesse. And if you don't know who Jesse Owens is, I don't know what to tell you. Just there's Google, baby. It's Google. So I went to Macy's, got cologne. Yes, staying on track. Got cologne. And, my scent of the winter is The Why by Yves Saint Laurent. My springtime summer fragrance is Versace Dylan Blue. My winter fragrance, my winter fall fragrance is, Yves Saint Laurent, the W. I mean the Y. So I was saying this about guys. Know your essences, because a lot of you are buying good cologne, meaning good brands, good scents, but your essences are off. So you're doing, Eau de Cologne, which is like 10%, shit, is it 10% of the, like 5%, cologne oil. It only lasts for like close to 2 hours. And the scent is not as bold. But if you do Parfum or Eau de Parfum, right? That's the strongest concentration. That's about 20% oils. That shit lasts for 8 hours. And so I encourage, my fellas out there, get you a good, strong essence of a cologne. Because the reality is that, let me tell you why. Because if you are getting a low essence, first of all, it's cheaper. I get it's cheaper. But the problem is with that price, if it's cheaper, is that the problem is that you have to consistently spray it, which means you go through the bottle faster. Versus if you make that serious investment. Like I got an Yves Saint Laurent bottle. Now I got the Magnum bottle. It's a bigger bottle. But I got that Le Parfum. That bottle was like $250. I kid you not. It was an investment. But that bottle was going to last me for about 6 months. Like I tell you, I only get bottles for the season. I get 2 bottles a year. I only go through 2 bottles of cologne a year. Barely that. To be honest, barely. But I go through about 2 bottles of cologne a year. And I go through my winter fall scent, and then I go through my summer spring scent. And to be honest, if you get a good quality bottle and you make that investment, you don't have to go through the bottles as much. A lot of people mix up their fragrances. I sometimes do. Like I do have, like last year I experimented with this, and I might do it again actually. Maybe I might do it again. But I do play around with like what I call daytime scents and evening scents, or what I would consider special occasions. So the Yves Saint Laurent, maybe I don't do it all the time on a regular basis, but I'm feeling like a rich bitch, so I'm probably going to do it every day. But there are times where I'm like, maybe I should rotate the different scents, lighter scents and things. And so I'm just telling folks, like, it would be interesting, just mix it up a little bit. Or get different scents, but figure out what your signature scent is and stick to it. If it's not broke, don't fix it. But I will say though, let go of Creed, please, because Creed is becoming the new Liz Claiborne curve. And for real gentlemen out here who ever played with cologne, and women too, because y'all know that scent, that Liz Claiborne curve, y'all know the one in the bottle back in the day. And I used to have the one called Crush, that light blue bottle. That was every man's scent for an era. I grew up with that. Was my starter when I was getting into puberty and getting into my coming of age, getting into my manhood and in my teen years, early teen years. That was the bottle I used to wear because that was how I evolved. But then I got a certain age and I had to put it away. And I got older and started playing with new scents. Then I went through my Polo scent. Remember the Polo bottles with all the colors? They still got that out there. Remember the Versace denim collection was like all the denim blue jeans and the different scents, the casual scents. I did the Nautica. Of course I did. I played around with Gucci Guilty. Everybody had to have a Gucci era. Burberry was always a fun one. I played with Burberry. But then as I got older, I've really got into my two favorite ones. And I really found my scents. I just feel like everyone's doing Creed and everyone else smell good with Creed. And every scent don't smell good. So I know there are people listening trying to get their men gifts. Listen, maybe Yves Saint Laurent the White is not the smell for him. Go to Macy's. Go to a store and try different scents and smell it on your skin. Because that's the other thing too. It's like body has pheromones. Like pheromones produce different scents and combinations. You want to know what your scent is. You want to know what your signature scent is. And your body produces certain scents. And it's based on your diet. There's a whole science to scent. And I really want y'all to take the time to really look into it. But different things you eat. If you eat a certain type of diet, your body produces a certain, when you sweat, you perfuse, your body's going to produce a different scent. Vegetarians, vegans have a unique scent. Omnivores have a different scent. And even within omnivores, they have a different scent based on different things they eat. So if you don't eat pork, if you don't do red meat, you only do seafood, you're going to have a different scent. And we know seafood has an impact on other pH levels on certain people and things. Pheromones are real. And so for me, I think because I'm just, a delicious, delectable peach, I smell like a delicious peach. And sometimes I have a citrus grapefruit vibe. No, I'm joking. I think I just really, I'm really big on essential oils. I do not really use lotion a lot. And let's be clear, don't start the whole, he don't bathe and he don't use lotion. No. I'm big on essential body oil. I don't really use lotion on my body. I use there is a great brand, and it's really inexpensive, but it's quality. Dr. Till's. I use this essential oils moisturizing body oil that I use right after I get out the shower. And it really maintains the moisture in my skin, but it also gives it a cute glow, locks in moisture, and it's really just good on the skin. I feel like it lasts long. I really am not crazy about lotion. I'm not against lotion. If you need it, use it. Everybody's skin is different. And that's why I always tell people with skincare things. Everybody's skin is different. But really take the time to understand your skin. Understand your body and your pheromones. I feel like this is the beginning of the year. This is the year. And this is the beginning of the year to do it. This year, I'm on top of my shit. I did all my, visits. I did my, my eye vision visit. I did my dental visits, my annual checkup, looking good, feeling good. I'm just doing a lot of things to holistically, be on top and really feel like an expert on understanding my habits in general, eating habits, hygiene habits. I'm taking the time to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. Seriously. Why do I use this deodorant? How is this deodorant making me feel? Is lotion really doing what it needs to do for me? Or should I invest in a body oil? Really, if you take the time to really understand why. And I mean, some people will do it. I'm not saying you don't. But I just talk to a lot of my friends and I'm having conversations and I just feel it's something heavy on my heart to just recommend that across the board. Taking the time to understand why you do what you do or eat what you eat. Which we'll talk about a stupid documentary that just came out on Netflix. Yeah, I watched it and I wasn't a fan. And we're going to talk about that later in the show. So, yeah. Before we get into what's been going on in the world, as you all know, the news is out. And a lot of you all who listen to Ernestly Speaking already know about this. You are like, we already knew. Y'all knew. But the rest of the world didn't. And it was a big, big damn deal on Friday. So as you all know, the Lit Brothers are having our live. Ernestly Speaking is, of course, the special. Ernestly Speaking presents the Lit Brothers Live. It is going to be on Wednesday, February 7th from 5 to 7 p.m. Hard Rock Cafe, Philadelphia. It is a live recording. It is a happy hour. It is a vibe. There will be complimentary appetizers, so we will have free food. But there will be drink specials because we want you all to try the everything that you're going to be experiencing at this wonderful event is a part of the Hard Rock Cafe's new happy hour menu. And I love Hard Rock Cafe. You all know this already. They have a happy hour that they just launched not too long ago. And so if you have not been to Hard Rock Cafe in a long time, I went recently to see Boyz II Men last year when they came to Philly. This was like celebrating the 25th anniversary of Hard Rock Cafe in Philadelphia. It's iconic. It's a center city, landmark in my opinion. It's one of the most consistent things that have stayed in Central City, despite all of the mayhem and craziness around. But I really want you all to enjoy this place. Come out, check it out, see it in all its gratefulness and great and awesomeness. It is an experience. It is everything. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be super fun. The event does require RSVP. I know a lot of people just want to roll up. Which I'm not ashamed of people rolling up to stuff. But with this particular event, it is one of those events where you do want to, be present and you want to, check it out. And it is an event that is going to be fun. So the way it's going to work is that it's going to be, of course, me, Josh, Jamarcus, Gio together having a fabulous time, and it's going to be a good vibe. We're going to do it's going to be like a 1 hour long recorded podcast. So we really want people to come on time because we want people to be able to, we want to be able to record, and we don't want there to be like too much noise. So I think we're not going to do like the loud bar during the recording. So you want to come on time at 5 or get there as soon as possible so you can be able to get the drinks. Now, the way we're going to do the podcast, we're going to record it in the middle of the show. So it's going to be from like 5:30 to 6:30, but on that 5:30, that 5 to 5:30 is arrivals because we're going to start recording at 5:30 sharp. And, people are free to come in, but you don't know just to roll in and be quiet, because we're like doing a recording. And then we're going to then we're going to do an hour show. And then at that 6:30 mark, we're going to just, take selfies, take pictures, mix and mingle, encourage y'all to eat and do things. And it's probably going to bleed over after 7, most likely, depending on what the vibe is giving. It might bleed over a little bit. But the heart of it is the live recording. So come see us, hear us live. We're going to be talking. We're going to be pouring a lot of tea. It's going to be a really, really fun episode. And it's going to be live recorded, and you'll be able to hear it, and enjoy it. So come, but please RSVP. Please RSVP. The flyer is on my Instagram page. It's on my Twitter page. Where else can you find it? Let me look. It is also it's on my Twitter. It's on Instagram as well. I'm looking right now to see because So it's pinned on my if you're on Instagram, it's pinned. So just go there, and if you're on Twitter, it's also pinned to my profile. So it's the first thing you see. If you want to be able to go, just make sure you RSVP. And the RSVP is RSVP at cashmanandassociates.com. All spelled out. RSVP at cashmanandassociates.com. Please RSVP there. You can bring a +1. Just let them know who the +1 is. You need to RSVP by Monday, February 5th. Space is limited. We're going to be at Hard Rock Cafe in Philadelphia. We're going to be in the Philadelphia room, which is their private event room space. So and they have their own private bar and everything there. It's going to be really dope. Just make sure you RSVP, because it will fill up. So make sure you do that. And yeah, look forward to seeing you all there. We look forward to seeing you all there. It's going to be a good time. Yeah, that's the one. And also, I want to address this controversy. It's not really controversy. I'm just being facetious. But a lot of people saw my big, ambitious list. I did a list that was a response to a lot of controversy around Michelin Star. Now, if you don't know what Michelin Star is, it is basically this very popular guide. Like, have you ever heard the term Michelin Star restaurants? This is the Michelin Red Guide, which is prestigious. So Michelin basically is this group that go around the world and they do tests and tastings and try different restaurants around the world. And of course the United States, and they reward up to 3 stars. So if your restaurant has 3 stars, you are a top tier Michelin Star restaurant. But if you get a Michelin Star, 1 Michelin Star, 2, it is prestige. And Michelin Star restaurants are like very much so sought out. People travel all over to go. Like, there are people who are like ultra Michelin Star fans. There are people that will make it a year go to every Michelin Star restaurant in America, and they'll travel across the country to try these restaurants. Like, this is like a thing. And so people have always asked for years, why hasn't it been in Philadelphia? Well, because it costs. The city's, district has to invest in it. They will have to pay for it. They will have to, the district or whatever has to pay Michelin money. And I don't know how much it costs, but it's a pretty penny. And they will have to pay for Michelin to come to the city and evaluate it and do it. It's an investment. But the thing about Philadelphia is that we really do have a food city. And we really do have it. In New York, of course, New York City invested in it, and a lot of other cities across the U.S. But for whatever reason, Philadelphia, I get it, right? We just have not invested in it. And so, as a result, I do feel like having a Michelin, there's pros and cons. The pros is that, having it would really generate good revenue and business for the economy in the city. And the city needs it. Like, we need to get people back in the city. We need to have people coming here, going to our restaurants, and really, checking us out as a tourist destination. I feel like it would definitely raise tourism and interest for sure. That would definitely speed up a lot of interest. And it would also really establish Philadelphia as a dining destination. The reason why we have been considered such is because we've won Oscars in dining. So, the James Beard Awards is basically the Academy Awards of food. The Michelin Star is like the Pulitzer Prize of food, if that makes sense, if you get that connection. But the James Beard Awards is like the Oscars of food. Like, if you get a James Beard Award, it's like winning the Academy Award. Like, basically, Friday, Saturday, Sunday last year won the Academy Award for Best Picture. They won Most Outstanding Restaurant. They won Outstanding Restaurant, which is the best restaurant in America. James Beard, it is like the top tier. It's the creme de la creme. And their journalism awards, their food journalism awards, is also like their Oscars as well. It's like the top tier. Like, if you win a James Beard Award in food writing, it's like superior. Even being nominated is superior, apparently. But that's the James Beard energy. But Michelin is like that standard. And if you're thinking about Michelin, like Michelin, the company that does the warehouse and all the tools, that is the same Michelin, y'all. Interesting enough. So, yes, the Michelin brand is big. The pro is that it will help. Now, the concern that people have about Michelin in cities, and the complaint I've heard, is they feel like what happens is it creates a have and have nots within the Philadelphia. Well, not Philadelphia. It will create a have and have nots in your city's restaurant scene. So they'll say like restaurants that you really like are going to be harder to get into, and it's going to be really inaccessible, and that there will also be a new creme de la creme elite of restaurants in the city. So if your city has a Michelin star, then there's going to be a whole like secret society class of like, oh, these restaurants are the great, and then everyone else is not going to feel as great because they don't have a Michelin star. I kind of feel like we're there already in the Philadelphia food scene. There are like restaurants that are like the restaurants, and then there's some that are like, okay, that's not like the thing. But people, I think that will widen and broaden, because right now, I will say with James Beard, a lot of Philadelphia restaurants get James Beard love. Either they become a finalist, they might win one, or they might be a semifinalist. But a lot of restaurants in the Philadelphia food scene get a lot of James Beard love, so you don't really feel too much divide. However, Michelin is going to be separating the creme from the crop. And in New York, it's like that. Like I went to La Bearded Inn, which is a 3-star Michelin restaurant. It has maintained that for like 20 years. 4 stars in New York Times food review, which is hard to get. Like, this is a top tier restaurant. And we celebrated our wedding anniversary there at Le Bourdin. I need to go to 11 Madison Park, which is now going vegan, which is kind of like, I get it, and I need to go there. I feel like the next time I go to a fine dining restaurant in New York, I feel like a Madison Square Park is where I need to go next. I actually know some people connected to them, so that might not be as hard to get a reservation. Hopefully, we'll see. But anyway, this came about because the Philadelphia Inquirer wrote a story about the Michelin Guide scenario in Philly. And so, because I just can't help myself, I wrote a piece for Eater called Top Philly Restaurants That Would Earn Michelin Stars If Eligible. And, people got their feelings hurt. I wasn't trying to go there, but it happened. So my restaurants that I put on my top 15 was Kalaya, which, come on. Like, it's Thai. It's incredible. It's like one of the best restaurants in Philadelphia, period. Hiroki, which is an incredible sushi spot, a really great omakase spot. Vernick Fish. Greg Vernick, everything he touches is gold. But I think Vernick Fish is different because of just how it's hard to find a really good seafood restaurant in this town, and they just perfected. But also Vernick food and drink is also phenomenal. Like, anything by Vernick is great. Even a coffee bar is like one of my favorite places to get lunch. Fork, Ellen Yen, it's legendary. And let me back up a little bit. I want to say this. So I judge this based off of Michelin's current criteria. So there are people that were like, why is this not on here? I'm like, girl, like, I'm talking about the criteria. Like, the criteria. There's a way that they choose their restaurants. It's based on food quality, mastery of technique, personality of chef, value, and consistency. So to be clear, when you see me read these restaurants, if you're thinking of like Malu, baby, Malu hasn't been out for a year. New restaurants are never really not considered under Michelin. You need to be around the block for a little bit. You're going to have to you're going to have to show that you've been in that kitchen whipping them pots for a period of time. You just can't just fall from the sky. And a lot of people think and just don't get it. And so it annoys me when I hear people just don't do anyway. So continue on. Like I said, Kalila, Hiroki, Vernick Fish, Fork, Amada, really great Spanish tapas. Alpenrose, Michael Scholsten did his big one on there. Morimoto, a classic Steven Star restaurant, but also just superior. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because of course. Forcia, which is just incredible avant-garde French cuisine in Old City. You just got to go there. Veg, because, they do love vegan restaurants. And if there was any vegan restaurant in this city that would be on that list, Veg would be the one, in my opinion. Vetri Cucina, because Vetri is like Mark Vetri's passion project in Superior. Zahav, of course. Come on. Ambra, which is, in Queen Village. This is Chris D'Ambro's spot. This is the one connected to Southwark. But if you have ever heard, never been to Ambra, it is special. It is divine. Royal Sushi and Izakaya. Jesse Ito is a mastermind there. That's another great sushi spot. And then last but not least, Laurel, which is Nick Elmi's restaurant. It's French, it's New American. They're doing some really great things there. I've always enjoyed Laurel, and now they have an entree menu. They still have that exquisite tasting menu, but now they're doing entree. It is just still top tier to me. So those are my top 15. There were people who were like, what about River Twice? I love River Twice. And I think that River Twice would have been number 16. But I think with River Twice, I think that there's a vibe to it that just doesn't really feel like it fits Michelin. It might get 1 star, but I couldn't see it getting 3 stars. And I felt like they're just going through various evolutions at the place right now. I do like it, and I do think that they have some great things. They have one of the best burgers in the city, the Mother Rucker, which is named after the chef Rucker over there. But, I think that I would like to see more consistency there. When they're hot, but I feel like they just have gone through so many different iterations. And I would just like to see more just consistency. And they have to be and I think they need to be around a little longer to just like figure out their groove. And so, yeah, Randy Rucker is a James, Beard semifinalist. He has the personality. He's done his thing. But now they're about to open a new restaurant, apparently. They're about to take over 20 Manning and open a brand new restaurant. It's going to be a place called Little Water, which is going to be also share a commitment to local and sustainable ingredients, which is why I do think they are Michelin. They are Michelin potential. I just think I just need to see just their operational have a little bit more consistency and flow compared to the 15 I just named. But they're really good. And look, I'm not a Michelin star guide or reviewer, but I do my research. I do read, and I do study. So we'll see. But now, on to what's been going on in the world. So, look, Hunter Biden's back in court. He pleads not guilty to an arraignment on 9 tax charges. We're going to see what's going to happen with this trial. I just hate that there is this conflation between Hunter Biden's trial and fucking Donald Trump's trial. I just don't understand why people are treating like they gotta like as if I don't understand. I don't. I understand. I know why dumbasses are doing it. I just think for people who will not recognize that this is not a presidential candidate, he's not a politician. Like, he is a son of of the president, and I understand why he's getting press. But okay, if he's in trouble, that does not mean that Joe is in trouble. I mean, Joe, yeah, his son listen, Hunter has always been the problem child. So he's had to deal with his son shit for a while. So it's not like it's going to be completely, it's not like he's completely, in his trouble. But this is the stuff that we go through. This is the stuff that we've seen. And I've noticed that a lot. And, it's very telling for many reasons. Because, come on, think about it. It's telling. It's telling. So, yeah, we'll see what it's giving. But I'm just tired of the trial. I'm tired of the trial. I'm tired of the nonsense. And speaking of, trials that matter, the Trump trial is heating up. It is definitely heating up. He is, showing his ass. The judge is having to literally say, handle your client. It's getting spicy. I mean, this is the real trial. He's got several trials, but Trump's going through it. And, he's got this civil suit right now around fraud. He's got the other stuff with the election. His team is trying to defend him in the Supreme Court very soon. It's a lot. And the arguments that he's making about his presidential power is that he's saying that as a president, he's immune from certain types of consequences. I mean, that's kind of what his rhetoric has been. His rhetoric has been that as president, I'm protected. There's like the conversation about the 14th Amendment, but he's trying to say that he's protected from being, indicted or from other criminal types of cases and things because of his status or his presidential status. But then there was conversations like, well, what if the president kills his political rival? Should they go to jail? And according to him, he doesn't think so. And I'm just like, excuse me? What are we talking about? What do you mean you a president can't get in trouble? A president can't go to jail. They can't break the law. Like, he's really playing with it. And we're going to see how this is going to play out because I don't know. I don't know. It's going to be very telling. It's going to be very telling, for sure. So we'll see. We'll see, because I just think this is the part where I tell people, everyone who doesn't take Trump seriously, I'm not one of these people that's going to freaking whine all day. I just really get annoyed. Specifically, I just have to keep it 100 when white people would just be freaking out about Trump and then dumping on me about it. I'm just like, I gotta live my life. I gotta work. I vote. But I don't got time to just hear whines about Trump. Especially from white people. Because it's funny, black people I know, we know Trump ain't shit, but Ronald Reagan wasn't shit either. And neither was Bush. And some of y'all were okay with them. And we were nah. But I say that to say that it's not that we're not cognizant, because our voting record in our community shows that we often vote on the right side of history expressively, which I'm going to get into why I have a gripe with certain media personalities as well on this issue, because I'm going in, y'all. There's some things I need to just get off my chest about certain stuff I've been seeing in the media lately. And so this episode, with all due respect, is going to be disrespectful. No, it's not going to be disrespectful. It's going to be very frank, because I think we need to talk about some things around elections and media and things. But but to be very clear, where do I start? I just find the Trump situation to be go through them trials. It's actually not us to be fearful of him. It's him scared of the law. Because the law is about to get that ass. I do believe, like I've said from the beginning, the person that's going to end Trump will be black women. It's going to be Fannie, or it's going to be Letitia. Both of them, AG of New York, or the AG of the DA of Fulton County in Georgia. Either one is going to handle him, either or both. But he's going to get that work. It's going to get that work. And so that's what keeps me, going to bed at night. But hearing white people text me or message me and DM me, it's just oh my goodness, it's really bad. I'm so but you're going to live you're white. You're going to live your best life. And if you feel this way, confront family, disown people, or tell people around you, the white folks in the suburbs, tell them, hey, who you voting for? Because we are going to get a little political. And I'm not saying it got to be every day, but to a certain extent, I don't got to be told about Trump. Don't tell me shit about Trump. You got the wrong person. I don't know why people love telling black people about these things. We're going to be the one that's going to make the bad decision at the polls. We don't. We don't fucking do it. And so I've gone in on Twitter. I know y'all have seen my Twitter threads, but I'm just tired of this obsession with black voters. Leave us the fuck alone. We're not the group you need to be worried about. Even in the group of color, even in the voter base of voters of color, we're not even the one to worry. We're the least one. Actually, you shouldn't even be talking to us at all. If anything, you should be giving committee people, ward leaders in our communities more resources to help get voter turnout. But you really should leave us alone when it comes to who to vote for. We know who to vote for. It's just a matter of if we're going to show up and vote because of how annoying some of you all have been. So actually invest in our communities. 365. Maybe if you actually gave a fuck, not only just on election years, but just in general, we wouldn't have these circular conversations, but I digress. So Iowa right now, Iowa is doing their big one. Republicans right now, the Iowa caucus, everyone's talking about it. Everyone's being big about it. But this big, huge Iowa caucus is the thing. So there's been a lot of debates. I've been following this, okay? Chris Christie dropped out the race, and he dropped out and he did not endorse a rival. But there was a hot mic, and he basically predicted that Nikki Haley would get smoked. So I'm kind of looking at him like, Because what's interesting is that he has been very much so aggressive on Trump. But nobody wanted you for president, Chris Christie. Why do you do this? Why do you run? Nobody sees it for you. Nobody wants to vote for you. You've done this already. Oh my God, you was the governor of Jersey, and you was okay. You was okay. You was all right. You was all right. But you was not that dude. Not national. You was not that dude nationally. So I need you to pipe down. Pipe down. But he says Nikki would get smoked, which I'm kind of confused because I'm like, does that mean Ron DeSantis has your vote, your support? Which I think Ron DeSantis would get smoked, but let me mind mine. I just think he's a little bitter because Nikki has been building steam. Now, I did follow the debate, and what I've noticed is that Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley have been throwing shots at each other in these debates. I've been watching them. Nikki Haley has been strong. I mean, she really is strong. I wonder if there's sea change in Iowa over there. Will voters get behind her, or is it all going to go to Trump? People have been saying New Hampshire may not go to Trump because independents and other folks can vote in that primary over there. But this primary, this Iowa primary, this caucus and all this, will Republicans lean off of Trump? It's just still up in the air. It's been interesting. The weather has been really bad over there, but we're going to find out very soon. There's been a lot of politicking over there in Iowa. I don't know why Iowa is picked because it's so white. It doesn't reflect the demographics of the United States. But, over there, they act like that's the heartland, America's heartland, middle America. It's a good indicator of where votes are going to go. I guess maybe Republican votes because they need those votes. But I don't know. I'm just so happy that with the Democrats, they have rechanged their routes. So they're not hyper-focused on Iowa. They're going in more diversities. They're going in South Carolina earlier. They're doing Georgia, I think, earlier. They're doing other places earlier that are more diverse because they recognize that for every Iowa, there is areas like South Carolina where, I remember in the last, primary season, that places like South Carolina, when it was looking shaky or people didn't know if Biden was strong enough, it was places like South Carolina that showed up for Biden. It's you need to get those places up front so we could get a better indicator. So I think Iowa is a really good indicator for Republicans because that is their type of crowd. And so that lets you know a little early where the tide is going much sooner. And if you can't get those areas, then you might consider dropping out. The funny thing is we're now down to 3. Trump, Nikki Haley, and Ron DeSantis. That's pretty damn good because it dragged. I felt like with Democrats, it just dragged. And it was just dragging, a little bit during that primary in 2020. But with the Republicans, it's now down to 3. Nikki, Ron, Trump, all 3. And as you know, Trump has only been doing his own individual town halls, which, he's been going up and down. He said that he claimed he took credit for overturning Roe v. Wade, which was interesting because he has for a while been warning Republicans hey, lay off the abortion rights, lay off abortion, lay off the issue, because he saw it as threatening, votes. But interesting enough, he's been pivoting towards embracing the fact that he overturned Roe v. Wade, which I'm like, oh, you're interesting. Because, like, the thing that was making him look a little bit more enduring to some Republican voters was like, they liked his conservativeness on other issues and extremism, but they kind of liked how he kind of like laid low on it. But then, I guess because he's in Iowa and these are like extreme conservatives, there are women that were at the town hall asking Trump about what he was going to do to protect the unborn, I guess they were saying. It's interesting that he switched up. Is that telling us something? I think that's gonna do bad for him, because I think Trump was very self-aware of how coming at abortion rights was not good, because look what happened during the midterms. And, we didn't see, again, that 2022 midterms, that red wave did not happen. It was like more like a mirage, because we never saw it. And a part of the reason why we did not see it is because of the shit that was going on. So it's gonna be a good bouncing of ego and error in all of this. I'm fascinated to see how it plays out in the end. What else? Another thing that was interesting was he claimed that he's already chosen a running mate. Oh, I left out that Verket dude, that Vim guy or whatever his name is, Vike or whatever. The other guy, Ramaswamy, he didn't drop out yet. But, like, he's not being invited on debate stages either, because his polling is so low that I guess they realize he's not a real factor anymore. And then Chris Christie's out too. So I guess there's 4 people in the race still. I don't want to be inaccurate. There is 4, but no one's taking Vermaswamy at all. He was like a moment that kind of had a moment. He was doing a lot of stunts to get press, and now we're over him. So now we're over the conversation. So I get that. But yeah, I think the Roe v. Wade situation is very telling. I think that this last debate before the Iowa caucuses was interesting. Trump's presidential power conversation is getting wild. I mean, idea that rivals can be assassinated with impunity, that narrative that is kind of what's protecting him. But what's annoying is how Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley are not talking about Trump. And I wonder if that's to their detriment or to their success. I don't know. I don't know. The verdict is still out. We're going to see what these caucuses are telling us. But on to local affairs. So, Sherelle has made her number. Mayor Sherelle Parker. Mayor Parker, okay, is making her rounds. She's named, the person who is going to take over. She's found her person. She wants to end the open air drug market in Kensington. On Thursday, she had a press conference at the 24th Police District headquarters. Now, that's the district that covers the Kensington area and several other neighborhoods. But she named the new Philadelphia Police Commissioner. Now, the new Philadelphia Police Commissioner, Kevin Bethel, announced the first ever Kensington drug czar, which is Pedro Pete Rosario. Now, he goes by Pete, but his name is Pedro. I just find the framing of drug czar with a Latino man named Pedro problematic, but it's what they use. Okay, that's the title. They did not call him a drug czar, of course, because that's just not what it is. But Rosario is a 30-year veteran of the Philadelphia Police Department. He's been newly appointed to create a newly created deputy police commissioner position that they created. He is the first Latino to hold a deputy police commissioner position in Philadelphia. He is solely responsible. Okay, they said his sole responsibility is to work in partnership with all involved to do the work to restore the hope and dignity to the Kensington area. Now, there was not a lot of details. People were wondering, is she still planning on bringing the National Guard into Kensington? But one major moment, and this is what she said, of why his appointment was historic. Now, this is what she said at the press conference. She said, quote, "I was very intentional about affirming his qualifications before his race and ethnicity. When you've lived at the intersection of race and gender your entire life, there's nothing more frustrating than someone affirming your race and ethnicity and not first the qualifications and hard work and dedication that have earned you access to an opportunity. Well said. Now, Rosario previously served as captain of the East Detective Division, which also included Kensington. So he has a background in the work. You know, it's interesting. I don't, look, I'm just observing right now. I'm observing. I don't know. It's Mission Impossible. But I will say that she is coming strong, and you gotta acknowledge the fact that she is coming in strong with trying to do the things she says she's going to do. Execution, we got to see it. But I'm just kind of I don't want, like I said, I've told you all from the very beginning, I don't want to be the kind of person that, okay, a person initiates something and we just automatically dump on it. Now, there's certain things that's just like, if there's a certain policy. But I mean, I just feel like, look, I mean, one could predict how it's going to go down in Kensington, but I really want to see how it plays out before really coming into that with smoke. Because I do think that by nature, there's enough people that's going to do that. I just want to observe. I have some thoughts, but I'll save them for my close friends for now. But I want to see how this gets executed, because what I don't want to hear, and this is what's happened in the past in politics, is that elected officials will initiate something, and the moment they do, it gets shitted on, it gets cut out, and then they'll blame the media, they'll blame, journalists for knocking it down and bringing public, public refusal or lack of interest. And for me, I think, I don't live in Kensington, but I know people who do. And I am being very, very mindful that I don't know how much I would want intervention or how less I would, depending on what I would have to see every day and experience. And I don't know what that's like. And so it annoys me where you have a lot of people living in a rented house, okay, that have all these opinions about what should be happening in Kensington. But they don't even keep that same energy in their own neighborhoods. They're not excited about, integrating kids into their special public schools and things. They fret, but they want to regulate and dictate where everybody else is, what's going on in everyone else's backyard except the backyards they live in. Okay, so I do have to hold a certain nuance here of trying to navigate what it would be like if I lived there. How would I want things to be, or was there a point where maybe I did think that this could be done a certain way, but because of the ongoing crisis, maybe I want to see a different type of intervention. I don't know. And so sometimes when people have all these opinions about Kensington, yes, there is some research. Yeah, there are some things to consider. But at the same time, some people want to tell them how they should run their neighborhood. And it's like, well, if you don't live there, you might actually want to shut the fuck up a little bit. Just a little bit. So that's why I'm a little like, let me think about that. Let me see some things. I want to see how this plays out a little bit. I want to see what the residents in that neighborhood feel about it. And I want to see if there's some real legitimate harm that's been committed, in ways that have been adversarial to community. But again, we need to see it. I mean, there is some problematic aspects, right? Because one wants to know, how do you plan to clean up Kensington? What does that really mean? Because if cleaning up really means only allowing police to be involved, that ain't cleanup to me. But I digress. Look, there's an outbreak of measles. Get your kids vaccinated and wash your hands and get your vaccinations. I mean, that's all I got to say on that. Moving along, the number of murders in the United States, speaking of crime, has dropped more than 12% on a national level. Violent crime has been dropping. I mean, a lot of times our politicians do not want to talk about positivity. But Philadelphia, gun violence dropped. And this was there it was already a trend where violent crime was going to drop, but then the pandemic happened and everything had an uptick. And I remember everyone was blaming all of these elected progressive DAs, but honestly, we were in a moment of real depression and crisis. We still are, but not, I mean, there was a difference. The pandemic had people really out here struggling. I mean, yeah, folks were looting because it was a situation where people was unemployed, people were really out here. And I will say that you had a lot going on. You had the pandemic, you had Trump policy. It was a lot going on at that time. But since then, things have started to get a little better. And with violent crime has went down. And it's interesting because I feel like the time that this city wanted to take dropping crime seriously, the numbers began to drop naturally before, the tough on crime policies and everyone that got elected to do it did. So I kind of feel like maybe we should acknowledge the trends are already happening. Maybe we should stay on path. Maybe we shouldn't go and do a 180 on addressing crime. I don't know. Maybe I should. I don't know. Like, I just feel like there was a method in place and there was a real interesting circumstance that happened that disrupted it. But now that we're phasing out of that particular circumstance and we're not on lockdown and we're not experiencing the consequences economically of the lockdown as much anymore, I think things are smoothing and things are getting better. I mean, for starters, Black unemployment rates have went down under the Biden administration, interesting enough. And also just across the board, there's been the recession. The fear of a recession has also kind of went down as well. A lot of stuff has calmed down. There's still problems, but like a lot of things have calmed down, which I think is playing a role in also violent crime going down. There is a connection. There could be a correlation here, I feel like. But why are your favorite politicians not talking about this? Because they want to justify, giving the police a crazy budget. They want to run off of fear, and when the fear is dwindling, what makes governmental power feel weak is the lack of fear. So I feel like a lot of elected officials are obsessing over gun violence, even though it's going down in Philly. And I think we should still continue to go down. But to be real with you, after this year, if the numbers continue to drop, even from the numbers of last year, I'm going to need a lot of elected officials to run on a different type of agenda. I still think the conversation of crime still is relevant, but I feel like if the numbers continue to drop at an even larger rate for this year coming into 2025, I feel like that will make things even more, compelling to change narratives. But they'll still hold on to the crime narrative because, they'll say maybe it was a fluke. Maybe it was just a moment. Maybe 2023 was special. So we just got to keep our eyes on the prize. So this Jonathan Majors interview, one thing I think we all got to stop doing, for better or for worse, whether you're white, Black, Republican, conservative, first of all, keep Dr. King's name out your mouth, but also keep his wife's name out of your fucking mouth. I do not understand why this whole why Coretta Scott King's name, the late great Coretta Scott King's name, keeps getting invoked in these weird ass conversations. See, the issue with Jonathan Majors' interview was okay, he's been dropped from another big movie. There was a movie he was doing. I think it was a Dennis Rodman biopic that came out, and that was a big deal. And I think it was a lot of conversations that was really telling, that I think created some of the problems. So I think for me, it's going to be a really big deal to, it's just a lot. Like I just cannot with him because I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this man and I'm just like, I don't understand how you could have this career and be this, have this career. It was a misdemeanor. You take a guilty, you found guilty, whatever. You're losing acting gigs. You're losing all these things, and then you're like trying to now use, you know, um, Megan Good, which is an actress. She was previously married to a pastor, a famous pastor, actually. And now you're like comparing her to Coretta, and then you made the reference. Like, what is this? I mean, it just says a lot about ego. Like, you're not Dr. King. You don't even embody him. You're not him. This narrative of Coretta being this strong woman who stayed by her man's side. Like, what are you doing? Like, ugh. Leave her name out your mouth. You do not know their story or their marriage. Like, stop it. And if anybody read the book, the Coretta that y'all think Coretta is not that Coretta. And that's a good thing, actually. The Coretta that you all should actually get to know and do research on is more fascinating, more interesting than the way that people have tried to depict her in pop culture. Like, she's not just this woman who just, like, my man was out here in the march cheating on me and I took care of the kids and stayed a dutiful wife. That's not Coretta. Like, that's part of Coretta's story. But Coretta had a life of her own, and Coretta led a long, powerful, influential life beyond that. I mean, there are books like what she's did for public education, like public reading, like public libraries, like supporting Black writers and authors and books about. Like, do y'all remember the Coretta Book Scholar Awards for children's books? Like how Coretta Scott King like really supported like public reading and honored books with medals and honors. Like I remember growing up and like going to the library at my school and like getting books and seeing that badge of honor. Like next to the Newbery medals for books, it would be Coretta Scott, King Award books. Like there was like those two labels on a book, you knew the book was good. Like Bud Not Buddy, like a classic. Like that was how big her impact was on literacy alone. And then the work she did for just continuing the conversations around nonviolence and peace. Like this woman, please. And in the gag, no shade, but none of the women being compared to Coretta are actually Coretta, like they're not Corettas. Like no shade to Megan Good. She's not Coretta. Like she doesn't even, I mean, she's a great woman. I mean, she's she's cool, but she's not Coretta. Like she ain't no diva. Like I don't. So when Jonathan Majors is making his reference, I'm just kind of like, why? And I'm so happy his daughter, who is on Twitter, and MLK's daughter, Bernice, she goes in and she lets y'all know what her father's legacy is and not let y'all ruin it. Like, I mean, I don't know. MLK Day, all these Republicans who love to weaponize MLK, it's like he would not be supporting this war. MLK would be calling for a ceasefire. He wouldn't want this bloodshed to be happening right now in the Middle East. But they won't say that though. No one's going to talk about the nonviolence then, right? Oh, okay. Because if you wonder where he would stand in this issue right now. History tells us that he would not be supporting this war right now. He didn't even support the Vietnam War. So I'm just saying, like, don't invoke him to justify your fuckery. Okay? Just acknowledge that in reality, this man called for peace. And he would have not justified thousands upon thousands of innocent children being killed. I mean, just come on. So it's been interesting to watch that evolution of the conversation around him and his wife. Like, let these people rest in peace, peacefully. Emphasis on that. So I'm gonna ask Ernest this week. It's going to be a whole thing because I just have some things I have to get off my chest. So a lot of people have sent me this in my DMs. And I was trying. Y'all don't understand how much it was. I was trying not to talk about this, but you guys kept DMing me, and I guess I have to respond. So, in that nutshell, you all asked me, what do you think about this Native Land podcast? Fuck that podcast. And I'm going to say this. Why I say this. So, for those who don't know, Native Land Pod has, this is a show that has three former cable media personalities, like three black cable news personalities. I don't want to call them rejects. That may be a little too harsh. But they are cable news people, personalities, people, pundits, combination. So Tiffany Cross, who was at MSNBC, who had a really great show on MSNBC, I must say. Probably my favorite one out of the three of them. She's actually solid. Then you also have Andrew Gillum, the disgraced, in my opinion, former Florida gubernatorial candidate who was a black man, married, found himself doing some interesting things, and of course, as a result, decided to come out as bisexual, which is his business. But I always feel like, just personally, as a black queer man, that it always annoys me that people decide to come out in times where there's scandal, and oftentimes will use that as a way to deflect what they really did, which is the more concerning thing. But whatever. And then Angela Rye, who was a big contributor on CNN. So they've been on their media tour, trying to promote this over the past week. I listened to the first episode because I definitely, like I said, I like to listen to stuff before I really review. And I normally listen to about 3 episodes before I give an opinion, but it's a chop for me. Because really what it's giving, first of all, I didn't ask for this podcast. I guess there were people who did ask. They have fans. So I guess there are fans who asked them to be together and do it. I just don't find it whatever. I just feel like it's just another podcast that's taking up space in the universe. Yeah, it's not like a Hotep trash bucket podcast, but I also think it's the type of podcast where it's not giving. And I don't want to say that it's rooted in bitterness, because I don't want to fall into saying, oh, bitter black woman, because I know how people weaponize identity and gender to miss a legitimate point. So I'm not saying it's bitterness, because that's no. But what I will say is that I do feel like there's this fixation. I'm going to talk about this in a minute, because I have so many annoyances with all of this that I'm seeing in this. And there's a lot of things happening right now with black media personalities and cable. And I think that's what's also fueling my disgust. So they're doing this podcast. They're trying to present themselves as beacons against the corporate media structures that be. That they're not, they're awakened, and they're seeing how like the mainstream cable world operates and how problematic it is, and blah, 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 blah. And we want to speak truth and keep it 100. This sounds familiar, don't it, y'all? Oh, because y'all know where I'm going. If you follow me and y'all listen to my podcast, y'all know where I'm going with this. If you follow me, where I'm about to go with this. But it has to be said. It has to be said. And I'm not going to be quiet about it. So there is that narrative of like, oh, we're trying to produce something that's different, and there's this and this and this. Then there is the other element. Like, Don Lemon just announced he's about to have his own little show. Whatever. He's doing something on Twitter. He says that now, he doesn't really listen and indulge in corporate media anymore. He now, listens to Ben Shapiro, which is a conservative. He's listening to different opinions, unfiltered. You see where I'm going with this? And so, interesting enough that while they are talking trash about corporate media, cable media, which we all knew was corporate, was problematic, right? They have gone on certain platforms to promote. And so there's so many things. Oh my goodness, I want to take my time. Take your time, Pastor. Pastor Owens is going to take his time because there is just so much I need to get off my chest. And y'all do not understand how anxious I've been to go off about some stuff. I just need to talk about this and I need to take my time because there's so many things. And I see my head going in a circle and spiraling because there's just so much. Okay, so let me start off with the fact of the premise of this. One of the things that annoy me as a Black journalist, as a person who has been saying this for years, is that people like the Angela Rye's, people like the Don Lemons, these types of folks have always raised their nose up at folks that were not on these major cable platforms. They always were the types that talked about their big six-figure salaries and checks and they checks and well, Don was probably in the millions, but they would always flex about their positions in the mainstream media. And they would love going to those parties and those White House Correspondents' dinners and go to these outings and these events. And they loved being attached to these companies and brands. And they used it for speaking engagements and book deals. And it was very much a DC elite. Oh, yes, there was the DC elite in media. And they definitely were gatekeepers. And they definitely were the types that was all about them. Okay, you couldn't get them to come to community stuff unless there was a paid speaking engagement, a check connected to it. Oh, they didn't have the time, baby. They were catching flights, not feelings. And they were all about it. And they ran up the bank on these cable channels, making themselves these bombastic personalities, not really talking too much about stuff with real depth, but really playing favorites, lollygagging with the politicians and people that they were supposed to actually be, critiquing, doing all of the things that regular people in media said, this is actually not a good look. Y'all are going to these White House parties. Y'all out here hobnobbing with these powerful institutions. Like, watch out. That ain't, that's, there's a line here. But no. They didn't speak up when other people got ousted in the industry for speaking truth to power. They didn't get in solidarity and invest in other young journalists. They didn't bring other people to the fold. They didn't share space. They only put their homies on, and they only put the ones who were already on. And they didn't put them on because they were already on, right? So they only kept their little society. They were the mean girls. They were the group. And I mean mean girls as in not just women, but men in that circle too. Because there's a couple of them that's still out here. But they're cliquish. They're very cliquish. They very much are snobs. They're very much people that's like, we're here, you're there. And they all reveled in that era, okay? They reveled during the Trump era. They made money. They all loved bashing Trump. It was their personality. Oh, CNN was this. They loved this. Oh. But people like me have been calling for a long time saying, this model is not sustainable. This model is not sustainable. I was telling people for years, I said, Black journalists, Black media, all of us, let's build our own shit. Let's invest in our own. And there were people like Jamel Hill, respectfully, that did that. And Mark Lamont Hill, came to it too, eventually. But there were a lot of other people who just love the labels, love the attachment, love the brag about that spotlight. And I said, but when they take it from you, when they take that from you, who are you outside of it? Who are you outside of those things? And so I knew what was going on. You all say to me all the time, back in the day, you don't do it as much, and I appreciate it to my listeners, but you'll say back in the day, oh, I can't wait to see you on CNN one day. Why do you need to see me on CNN one day? What if what I am doing today is my one day, and that is fucking fine enough? Why is it that when it comes to Black creators, that there is, you never can accept that we create our own land, since we're talking about native land. We're going to get to that too. But we create our own spaces, and that those are affirming spaces to create our best work. And what I've always said in my career is that I don't work for media companies, I work with them. I work with them. And if one leaves, if another opportunity don't, I still have my own identity and my own brand in this industry. I still have a place. My writing quality can be felt and read no matter where I go. You can read me at Rolling Stone, you can read me at The Griot, you can read me in the Daily Beast. No matter where you read me, it's going to always be my voice and my quality. And if, I get to a place in my life where, look, I'm not writing for any publication, ErnestOwens.com exists. Okay? Like I've always have preached that. I tell my students that. I tell my mentees that. I tell my members that. But I always say to people that you need to do that, because if you lose those things, but see, no one likes the entrepreneur. No one likes the Black entrepreneur that is ethical. No one likes the Black ethical entrepreneur. Y'all love the unethical ones. Y'all love the ones that want to sell fucking scam ass products and grift all day. Y'all love the problematic ones, the trash bucket ones, the ones that are selling pamphlet ass books. Y'all love the Nehemiah Davis of the world. Y'all, that's what y'all love. I don't understand why y'all are so addicted to mediocrity. It just does not seem like yourself, right? Kat spoke on that. There's a lot of people that like the mediocrity, the basicness, and the terrible shit, right? But y'all do not like y'all do not like ethical Black entrepreneurs. Y'all don't. Y'all do not like us. Y'all do not like that we're honest about what we do. Y'all don't like that we say no. Y'all don't like that we are conscious about what we do and how we do it. Y'all can't take us. You just want us to shut up and get in line. And we refuse to. Y'all like Black entrepreneurs that are unethical. Y'all love Black unethical entrepreneurs. Y'all will give them street namings. It's just true. So in media, people do not like Black entrepreneurs in media. They don't like those who are entrepreneurial and ethical. They don't like us. They find us to be difficult. They think that we're, are just hard to work with, but that's because we understand our value. When people tell me things like, "Oh, I can see you being on CNN." Is it because every Black person you see with an opinion is on CNN? That's out here. Why do we conflate it with brands? Because every single Black person that's went on CNN, look what happens to them. Which is why when I looked at Angela Rye, when I saw her on there, when I saw certain folks on that show, I was like, y'all don't know how they did these people. Like when Tiffany Cross was on MSNBC, I was like, y'all don't remember what happened to Melissa Harris Perry? Oh, okay. Like, Simone, you're next. It's true. Like, Simone's next. They've already canceled her show. I mean, she doesn't like me. Simone Sanders does not like me. And I don't like her. Like, not going to hide that. Like, I'm going to be real about folks out here who's with the shits. She doesn't like me because she's friends with DeRay McKesson. And when I wrote my piece exposing DeRay McKesson on a lot of the problematic ways with Campaign Zero, right, she decided to throw shots at the way in which I was reporting on that and got mad because I clapped back. So, yeah, Simone Sanders does not like me, but also a lot of people don't like Simone Sanders. I mean, listen, she can't even stand straight on whatever her political, litmus is. One moment she's supporting Bernie Sanders, and the next moment she's going for she's going for Biden on campaigns. Like, she just is wherever the money goes and wherever relevance is for her. Bless her heart, though. Okay, I guess. But she has a show, right? That show got canceled, so now they moved her to weekends to do a weekend show. Eventually, they will phase her out. But right now, they done let so many Black women go at MSNBC that they got to keep somebody, right? But, I mean, your show was like the 26th, 27th most popular show on MSNBC? Okay. But like, that's the cycle, right? And that's why I never wanted to play with the cable news cycle in America. Like, I do not make American appearances. I'm on European TV more often than not. And what I would say is that there's a reason, right? Because they want a certain type of Black person on those cable channels. They want a certain type of model. And the problem is that I never was interested in conforming to that model. I had conversations. I see the people they put on there. They don't want anyone that's really, I'm not impressed with the commentary on these cable news stations anymore. especially those who are mainstream like CNN, they're not saying anything. Everything is safe. Everything is on the line. They're not really saying anything profound. I mean, it's a bunch of high-fiving each other. Everybody's saying the same thing in 5 different ways. It's nothing enlightening. There's no real pushback. There's no real challenge. It's just very flat and safe. And the people who've kept contributor jobs are either doing it because they're getting paid less than what they used to bring other people on. So budget-wise, they're more affordable to keep. But no. Like, I've made appearances on CNN before. Don't get it twisted. So what we're not going to do is do the whole, oh, he's just mad because he hasn't been on it. No. I've been on CNN plenty of times. I've been on MSNBC. I've been on all those channels. I've made appearances. I've had it. It's in the bio, baby. Like, I've done that. There has been situations where I can be honest now that I was being considered to be a contributor, but it just didn't work. It didn't work because I wasn't going to play certain games. And so when I see the way that there are people in the industry that did not want to bring people in, did not want to groom and mentor or just did, quite frankly, just raise their nose at certain folks. I saw those same people do that shit when they had those positions. And then when they got fired, they're now talking about, oh, it was a humiliating day. Why was it humiliating? Why? Why was it humiliating? Because to be honest, look, people lose jobs every day. It's not humiliating to lose a job. It's not humiliating that, companies make cuts. I mean, it's not humiliating, actually. But it could be humiliating if you have been a person that has fronted off of a position and you have, promoted yourself in a way and you have been somebody that raised your nose up and flexed in front of a bunch of people and didn't really, help a lot of people in the business or really did that, right? That when you do actually lose the gig, then you're somewhere having to put your head down because you didn't really embrace or really have anything. And no one fought for you or missed you or advocated for you because you never really put too many people into the conversation. See, I've always learned personally in my career, the best way to grow and evolve in the industry is to always mentor people, provide people opportunities, build a strong unit. And not just a unit of people that are like on your level, quote unquote, but people who are trying to get there. And I see that this industry is full of a lot of narcissistic people, a lot of selfish people, a lot of people who are very much so into themselves. And then when they lose their job or they lose an opportunity, then they're like, community, I need my community to have me, my tribe. Also, now you're about community and collectiveness when you lose your, whatever you thought made you individualistic, right? When you thought you were the only prize and then you have to come down to earth. It's just a very interesting dynamic. And we see this pattern a lot, right? We see this pattern that these people play fake when they're in the industry. And then when they fall from grace, then that's when they want to be as honest and sobering about things. Like, I'm sick of it. TJ Holmes and his girlfriend talking about how TJ drinks 18 drinks a day and they spent $3,000 in December on liquor. Like, all of these, and I don't want to say washed up. I want to be respectful. But you see all of these people who have exited this, or whether got fired. Now they want to get platforms. They want to get podcasts. And now they want to make themselves more relevant and important than they need to be. Like, I have learned more about Amy and TJ Holmes than I've wanted to learn. And actually, I find them more cringy than I did before they were on air. Like, when they were on air, I didn't mind them much. But now I just find them to be more like just a turnoff, a buzzkill for me. And so these are the patterns I've noticed and the things I've seen. And I'm just kind of like, this trend is just annoying. So we've seen a trend, is what I'm getting to, is that all of these rejects, these people have exited mainstream media. They all want to trash it and act like it's bad, yada, yada, yada. So it kind of feels like a little pity party tour. But the irony is, specifically with this Native Land Pod, is that, Angela has been making the rounds. Tiffany has been making the rounds. But the one person they've been making the rounds with, and this has been the moment when I've had to throw my hands up, has been Charlemagne the God. Leonard, the one who's been accused multiple times of sexual assault. Multiple times. I mean, this is a man who in 2015 admitted to giving a girl Spanish fly while she was unconscious to have sex. That's not a joke. That's not funny. That's not misunderstanding. That's really fucked up. That's called sexual assault. This is a man who's been transphobic, homophobic, who's given a platform to all types of hoteps and bigots and misogynists, who's built his entire career off of the shock factor and the degradation of Black women, queer people, trans people, and marginalized folks in general. Like, this is a man who's built his entire platform off of that. I feel like he's on some fucking redemption tour that is honestly a brand thing, because he's now secured some bags at like Comedy Central, iHeartMedia, he's got his own podcast, all this crap. And so he's now trying to rebrand himself. But I'm not here for it. I'm not buying it. I'm not here for him and what he represents, because this is a man who should really sit down. And right now he's being amplified in a way that I find to be detrimental to the community at large. Who the fuck made him the voice of the Black community when it comes to issues on politics? This man doesn't have the range, the information, the nuance to be speaking on anything around politics on a national level. And yet here the fuck he is. And how so is because he has built a platform where he has been able to onboard and buddy and cozy up to a lot of once legitimate people in media to now do it. So now Angela Rye is beside him on shows like CNN Late Night with Abby Phillip, who I love. And they're talking about the 2024 election. I'm like, why, Angela Rye, are you aligning yourself with Charlemagne the God? Why Abby Phillip, why Abby are you bringing him on CNN? Like, why is this even happening? Then you have, MSNBC. Joy Reid, who is phenomenal, who's a brilliant woman, a brilliant journalist. You're bringing Charlemagne the God on your show alongside Angela Rye. Then you have Tiffany Cross on The Breakfast Club promoting that podcast. Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't. And it tells me everything that's hypocritical about this current movement, right? That a native land is a safe land. A native land is a land that does not oppress. A native land is affirming. It's a safe space. And the fact that these people are connecting themselves, aligning themselves with the likes of Charlemagne the God is despicable. And it's also unacceptable, because let's keep it 100. We all know what we know. Like, these are Black journalists. These are media persons. They know. And it's heartbreaking because they know. They know what's wrong with him. They're Black. They're Black women. They know his history. And the fact that they're trying to force feed us him in this national conversation at a time where this election is so serious that we don't have time for a buffoon like him, I can't. I won't. And so any ounce of legitimacy that I thought this podcast was going to be, the foundation to which it is being conceived and being promoted and how it's being promoted, has made me cringe and has triggered me to in a way in which I can't and I won't and I cannot, because what we are not going to do is act like there are not other healthy examples of Black men in politics that are in journalism, that's reporting and discussing this. Platform them. Give them space. If you don't like me and my mouth, fine, fuck it. Don't do me. I'm good, baby. I get checks. I'm good. I don't need that. But there are other people out there that deserve some attention, deserves the spotlight, deserve an opportunity. And I'm so sick of the same redundant names and faces every fucking year. Like Michael Eric Dyson, like, is not the only Black scholar. Mark Lamont Hill isn't either. And no shade to those men. But like, what we're doing is we're over-indexing a lot of the same voices, saying the same things. And that becomes it. There's been, which I'm happy to see, an evolution and an expansion of Black women voices in politics. Long overdue. I want more, and I'm happy to see it. But what I'm starting to see within the Black community when it comes to Black male voices on politics, we're always leaning to these hip hop personalities. Like, I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of the role that Black media and journalism is playing in it. Like, we're amplifying Mace and Cameron. We're amplifying Joe Budden. We're giving Charlamagne the God the title of political maverick. Really, Joy Reid? Like, we're wondering why our community is giving up or just checking out of a lot of this information. Because look at the fucking fools that you're giving these platforms to and amplifying. I don't want to hear anything else. Like, I don't. Like, stop using them as the litmus of your opinions about what Black men think about the election. Charlamagne the God does not represent those voices. He's out of touch. His financial bracket, his education, his understanding of these issues are so fucking dense and so repetitive. Like, first of all, he's a chaos agent. He is literally a chaos agent. He's literally on air trying to play contrarian, trying to create a narrative that just quite frankly does not exist. And it's irresponsible that every election cycle we have this very bad faith argument of what has the Black community, what has the Biden administration done for the Black community? And we have this every 4 years, and we allow Charlamagne the God to have a platform to do it. I'm disgusted by it. It's late, it's tired, it's insincere, it's problematic, and I'm disappointed to see Black women who are so educated and so smart feed into this machine. Like, please. Like, again, if you don't like me and do not like how I keep it real, you don't got to bring me on. I don't need it. But I know several important Black male political voices that are local and national that deserve to be sitting in that seat. And we do a disservice to those men when we don't allow them to have a platform to join our incredibly intelligent Black women. Like, why is it that for every Black woman in media, in politics that's Black, that is speaking intelligently and articulately about these issues, we put a Black male buffoon beside them? I'm tired of it. So, yeah, I'm just not feeling this trend. Stay woke. Notice how Charlamagne is using these Black women to restabilize his reputation. We see it. And I've gone off about it, and I'm going to keep going off about it because it's got to be enough's a fucking enough. Enough's a fucking enough. Period. Okay, moving on. So movies, 2 movies I want to talk about specifically. First of all, another movie, The Holdovers. The Holdovers. It's on Peacock, y'all, not Amazon. It's on Peacock. That's the movie with our fabulous Philadelphia native, Divine Joy Randolph, incredible actress. She is from Mount Airy originally, and she went to Temple University where she got her bachelor's, and then she went off to get her master's at Yale. She was in a lot of shows. She's in Murders in the Building, but she's in this great movie called the Holdovers. She's incredible in it. I think she's gonna win an Oscar, y'all. Sorry, Danielle Brooks, but I think it's gonna be Divine. She was in Dolomite was is his name, which I first discovered her there, but she got a Tony nomination for her performance in Ghost. But she's an incredible actress, and I'm happy she's getting her shine. So, just want to put that out there. But this movie that a lot of people need to talk more about is called Origin. This is directed by Ava DuVernay. It stars the incredible and exceptional Anjanae Ellis, who is an incredible actress. She's just stellar. And Anjanae Ellis Taylor is what her new name is. She's connecting her mother's last name. So it's Anjanae Ellis Taylor. And this film is incredible. It's based on the book Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson, who also wrote another book called, another great book. She's written so many great books, but she wrote the one book, The Warmth of Other Suns, The Epic Story of America's Great Migration, which came out in 2010. And then she wrote the book Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents. She is the first Black woman to win the Pulitzer Prize in journalism. The first Black woman to win the Pulitzer Prize in journalism. And she wrote two great books. So Cass came out in 2020 after the Warmth of Other Suns. It's an incredible book. Both books are great, actually. A 10-year gap between the two of them, but talk about somebody who knew their work. But she's done a lot of great work. She's incredible. She's incredible at what she do. She, did a lot of work. She won. She's the first Black woman to win the Pulitzer Prize in journalism in '94, where she did feature writing, covering the 1993 Midwestern floods, and she did a profile of a 10-year-old boy who was responsible for his 4 siblings, and that was some great reporting. And a lot of her articles have been included in Pulitzer Prize feature stories, America's Best Writing from 1979 to 2003. She's an incredible journalist. And so Anjanae Ellis, who's Oscar nominated, plays her in this film. And she has a very beautiful story. She's won so many great awards, and she's been honored a lot for her work. I'm a big fan of her. I think she's incredible. This film is really good. It talks about what inspired the book Origin, and it's very intense, but very inspiring. It's just one of the best films I've seen in a long time. I really hope a lot of people see it. It comes out in theaters this week. I really want people to take the time to watch it. I think that there is a lot of, there's just a lot there, and it made me think, and it's still resonating with me. There is an Oscar campaign right now, kind of like the way that people did the one on, what's her name? Rosenberg, that surprise Oscar actress last year. It was, I'm trying to think what her name was, but it was, what's her name? Andrea Riseborough. She played in the film To Leslie. That was the film. And she earned an Oscar nomination that really seemed like it was a last-minute campaign. But there seems to be a last-minute campaign for this film and for Anjanae's character to get a Best Actress nomination. So it could work. Maybe it will work. But she is a Black woman. She is a Black actress. So, maybe not. We'll see. But there's always been surprises at the Oscars. There's been surprise nominations that have popped up. Could she be one? I mean, the case is strong. The case is very much strong. You could see a surprise. You could see a surprise moment happen. So we'll see. But it's a great film. Another film I'm gonna talk about that just hit me, Mean Girls, a musical. I liked it. I really do. That Renee Rapp, she's growing on me. I really am feeling her. She can sing her ass off, and she's really thoughtful. Really good musical. It's not. Listen. I appreciated it. They did its own thing. Mean Girls turns 20 this year. Don't remind me. Oh my God, Mean Girls is 20 years old. Damn. That was the movie like I watched in middle school to high school. That was such an iconic film. All of my millennials, y'all remember Mean Girls. It was iconic. Um Now it's 20 years old. I'm in my early 30s. And here we are watching it, the musical version that is now a film. It's like The Color Purple. Now I can make the metaphor. The musical version, which was on Broadway, became a film adaptation. Like Mean Girls is that popular that it was a movie that became a musical. That now they made a musical adaptation, a movie adaptation of the film. Like the only thing I can think of that's like that is like shit, like The Lion King. Like they made an animated Lion King, a Broadway musical Lion King, and a actual like live action. Like the Lion King franchise is never gonna go hungry. The Color Purple franchise just won't either. And clearly the Mean Girls won't either. Like there's so many franchises. But these are the franchises that I feel like has taken it to different levels. I mean, books and plays and musicals, musical adaptations to films, film adaptations of movies. Like they just can't stop. The Lion King just won't stop. It's just the biggest brand next to The Color Purple. Like The Color Purple was a book that had a film adaptation, then had a musical, then had a film musical adaptation. Like that's four like different pieces of the same medium. Like Alice Walker will never be broke a day in her life. But yeah, I did like the musical. I thought it was really good. So these are really good films. The one thing that was really like cringy for me was this You Are What You Eat on Netflix. I'm getting messages from people being like, oh my goodness, Ernest, have you seen this? I don't know. I don't think I'm going to eat red meat again. Child, sit down. First of all, the researcher in me, because I am into research, big on research. When you do research, right, there's controls, there's measuring. You just can't have every single thinging. Okay, and let me break this down a little bit more. So, like, for example, this movie studies twins, identical twins, and their eating habits, and so they do a set of twins that do a vegan diet, like plant-based all the way. And then they do a group that is doing I forget what they call those. They call them I want to call it carnivore diet because I wouldn't even call it an omnivore diet, but it was just very unhealthy processed foods, very much like that. hmm So they're doing this diet, and I'm sitting here and I'm watching this, and I'm like, okay, so what am I supposed to do with this? Like, so the other group is eating like these very nutritious plant-based vegan foods. And then the other group is doing these like unhealthy processed meat, red meat, eating meat, whatever. And of course, they're measuring their health and their diet. And so it's scaring people because they're like, oh my God, look what it does to my body compared to the other body. Here's the problem with this. Both sides of this issue is wrong. And it's vegan propaganda. And I'm not saying I'm supporting the meat industry. I understand there's issues with the cattle industry, and I agree with that. But the problem with these types of films is that it actually turns people away because it creates misinformation about health. Vegan diets have to be under a certain level of health monitoring control. Like, let me just be clear. You have to have a well-balanced diet. You have to have well-balanced protein. You have to measure out your protein, your carb intake, because you just can't go straight off of just raw diets. I know there are people who were talking about they were raw vegans, And that shit was like, what? And it was doing all kinds of things to their health. It was not healthy. You have to balance it. You have to, like vegans, the vegans I know are taking vitamin supplements. They're making sure that they're having a well-portioned meal. They have to make sure that they are monitoring their protein intake. They have to make sure that they are doing all of these necessary things. Like they cannot just be out here slacking on their health. They can't. They have to do. They have to take this shit seriously. They cannot be slacking. Period. Because if they do, they can get sick. Just period. So that's something that was missing in that conversation that irked me. The other thing too about that's about vegan. That was my concern about the research on vegan. And you're talking to a former president of the Future Farmers of America. I was the president of my chapter in Houston, Texas. I did dairy cow judging. I study food. I know a lot. Like I've lived a lovely life. I live a life where if I'm going to talk about something, you best believe I have a basis of education on it. So the critiques about the cattle industry, solid. Not going to critique that. If people are vegetarians because of the ethical impact that it has on people, right? And arguably to a certain extent on the environment, right? Carbon footprint. I understand that. But when we're talking about health and nutrition, I feel like there are extremes in this film that really annoys me, and I feel like creates this like these fucked up narratives about eating, and also very classist. Because, when we talk about the way that people talk about vegan eating, I'm not saying that people in underserved communities cannot be vegan. It's just that there's a lack of education or presumption of vegan nutrition that is just not true. That, like, look, my husband used to be a vegetarian, and then he, dabbled in veganism at a period of time. And then when we dated, he got into an omnivore diet, which I'm going to bring up. Most people are omnivores. We're not just straight up carnivores. I hate how that diet like misread. Like it reminds me of Super Size Me. Like looking back, Super Size Me was fascinating when it first came out, but I feel like it aged poorly. Because nobody should be living off of McDonald's. Most people know that. Most people already know that they cannot live off McDonald's or that kind of processed food. Like, to be honest, we know that places like, I haven't had a McDonald's burger in God knows how long. I don't even know. But the point I'm making with fast food, any processed foods like that, you eat it casually. It's not meant, that's why it's called casual fast food. Like, it's not supposed to be something you're supposed to just eat all the time. Like, I mean, if I do my fast food, if I'm on my fast food tip, it would be like, it would be like a little, I'll do a little something every blue moon, but, or if I do, I pick one, like I'll do a big, really good, juicy, Five Guys burger in Center City. Like I'll slide over there and do it maybe every 2 months or something. But like, I get it. Like I get that you can't eat like that, but like most people don't eat like that. Okay. Most people are omnivores, right? And so I would have loved to see if they would have had controls. Like, okay, the average American is eating, an omnivore diet. There's going to be some vegetables. There's going to be some starch. There's going to be a meat, of course. Sometimes the meat rotates. A lot of times it's chicken. It's not really red meat all the time. For me, like we don't really do red meat at this house. Like when I think about it, like we rarely eat steak. Like if I eat steak, it's normally when I'm at a restaurant. But like at home, we mostly eat chicken, we barely do pork. It's mostly chicken and seafood at my house. But when I go out to eat, that's when I cut up. I get duck. I get a really good Berkshire pork chop. I'll do Wagyu beef. Like I really cut up when I go out to restaurants. But at home it's mostly chicken, seafood, like fish,
But rarely any pork, rarely any red meat. Like, not really. But like, I think most Americans eat a variety of different meats, is what I'm getting at. And there will be some type of vegetable, and there will be some starch, whether it's mac and cheese or rice or beef. There's some type of other thing in the mix. That's a typical American diet. I want to see how that compares to a vegan diet that is reasonably controlled. Like, if you can compare it. And I do think there might be some differences in results, but I don't think the margin is as wide. But again, there's assumptions being made about vegan eating that isn't necessarily true either. Like, everyone's not out here eating butternut squash and marinated zucchini. Like, a lot of people are not eating like that with their vegan diets. It's not as sexy and glamorous as some people make it. Like, not everybody can afford to go to, Hip City Veg and eat like that, or Sweet Green for lunch like there's again controls that we're missing. But I say all that to say that I just found that to be just the most misleading documentary on the issue. There's just better ways to do it without sensationalizing it. And I just wish that in these conversations about diet and nutrition, we just do not go to extremes. That there could be a real good argument made, but just not treating these really weird like experiments that are just so misleading. So that's my take. That's my thought on it. As far as new music goes, y'all, I'm obsessed with this new Ariana Grande song, Yes, and it sounds like Vogue. It is inspired by Vogue. It sounds like Vogue for the 21st century. I love the energy. The video's cute. It's okay. The video's cool. But that song is just infectious. It is addicting. It is good. One thing I like about Ariana Grande is that when she comes out, she comes out. I mean, I will say, out of all the pop girls, when she drops a new single, it always is fire. Like, when she took that little break and then she came out with No Tears Left to Cry, I just thought that song was just so good and so different. But this new sound, oh, she's in her bag. She's got some really good producers. She's got some hot producers, and she's making hits. Like, this Yes and is just my jam. It's just, I've played it nonstop. I really like, and I haven't been excited for a new single on an artist for a long time. So I'm actually happy that pop is coming back. I'm Taylor Swift out. I ain't gonna hold you. Like, I just think she's over. Like, I saw her swag surfing. What was she doing this week at the Chiefs game? Like, girl, do your victory lap at the Grammy, sis. And then take a break. Like, do this Eras tour, do this, and just take a break. Like, I just feel like she's overexposed at this point. And the overexposure, I think what will happen is she will go back into what happened to her a couple years ago, where then people will just be annoyed with her again. Then the fans will turn, people will turn. Because you get to, like, when you're a celebrity, and I think the person who gets this a lot is Beyonce. Beyonce, I just love that balance she has. Like, she just knows, okay, there's these moments where I'm all over the place, and then I gotta retreat. I feel like a lot of artists have practiced that. So people won't be tired of you. Because at some point you get exhausted with people. Like Drake, I think people are just tired of Drake. Drake, go away. Just go away. Go away. Like, we don't want an album from you every year. Go away. And Mos Def was right about him. He is a pop artist. He makes commercial music. His music does not speak to the current world we live in, does not challenge us to imagine. And I'm not saying every song has to be We Are the World, but like, he's not speaking about anything. It's just so not in tune to what we're feeling and where we are in this society. It's just whatever. But yeah, I say all this to say that I really, really like the new Ariana Grande song. Now, Lil Nas X dropped a new song that just came out. It's called J. Christ. It's okay. It's okay. I think, like, he knows what he does. He's a professional troll, and he's going to troll. As a fan, as a Black queer fan, I have thoughts on Lil Nas X, like, and they're not like really bad. I think part of me is like, maybe I'm just not his demographic. Like, I'm just a little, like, he doesn't make music for people my age. I think he has a demographic of Gen Zers, and he's a Gen Zer, and he's making music for them and they like it. And if they like it, they can bop to it, it's for them. It's not probably from me. I think I'm I'm grown, and so I'm a little older. And so that music isn't like touching me in the same way. Like Ariana Grande's in her 30s. I'm in my like we're in the same age group. Taylor Swift, and but he's in his mid 20s. He's a his the music he's making is for a more younger demographic, and it connects with them. So I can appreciate that. I don't know how this era is going to play for him, because I would have like one thing he did really well between the first album, the second album, was that there was a contrast in his themes and his appeal. And so I don't know if he's going to change it up, because I got to see more songs. But I did like Montero, the second album was fun. I did appreciate some of the songs, and that felt more. But this song, I just feel like it's a starter. I feel like he's trying to get controversy. It's working because a lot of people are talking about it. But then again, we're also not surprised. But it annoys me because everybody gets surprised with him. And then they play into the whole, this demonic music, the pop industry. Stop it. Madonna was doing sacrilegious shit. Like all of your faves played around with religious stuff. I mean, not everybody, but a lot of pop artists have played with it. I mean, Kanye West has fucking played with it 1,000 times. We're not going to talk about Kendrick and the damn, the damn thorn crown on his head. Like, stop acting like Lil Nas X is the first to play with religion or use it in an artistic way. Like Madonna did Like a Prayer Baby, and that was getting banned all over because Jesus was Leon, who was a black Jesus, and there was burning cross. Like, stop playing. Like, a lot of your faves that dabbled into playing with religion in their art and their pop music. So I'm not at all caught up in that with him. I just feel like what I would like to see is, and hopefully it will come. Maybe I don't want to jinx myself, but I just feel like what I would like to see is him not be so caught up in maintaining his hits with the tinge of shock, because he has so much more, I feel like. And he does, like when he gets into his other artistry, he do. Like, I love Industry Baby. Industry Baby and the whole prison, so much there, okay? But he's so subversive. And I think the subversiveness is interesting. Which makes me forget about another movie I brought up. Book of Clearance, which I did see a screening of. You're either going to love this movie or you're going to hate it. I'm not going to tell it. I'm okay with it. It was cool. It was different. But you're either going to love this movie or you're going to hate it. It's that polarizing. You're either going to be like, oh, wow, this is so funny. I really thought that was funny, yada, yada, yada. Or you're going to be like, ugh, hated it. Ugh, what did I watch? It's in between. I mean, the more I watched it, it grew on me. At first, I was kind of like, what's going on here? But then after I got into it, I was like, okay, this is entertaining. I find this funny. Okay, I'm into it. I'm sold on it. It's satirical. It's funny in that way. But it took me a little, I think about maybe a fourth in the film, like 25% into the film, about 30 minutes into the movie, I finally started to get into it, and it was like, okay. And then once I was into it, and then it was good. I don't know if I would call it a slow burner, because it wasn't like after the first half it got good. No. But in the beginning, I was kind of I think I was just taken aback by it. And then once I started, then it grew, and then I got into it. So I'll say that. But it's worth watching, if you are looking for new cinema, like something that's not a sequel or a superhero film. It's worth it. As far as TV go, I am watching Love and Hip Hop. The new season is giving. It's promising. I am feeling it. I am feeling the new season. What I will say is it's a lot of circle backing. So Scrappy and Erica are trying to like rekindle their relationship. I'm a little over Scrappy because I just feel like Scrappy just be going through between. There's 3 women in Scrappy life that he just keep going through in circles. And I'm not saying sexually. I don't want to put it like that. But like, okay, Bambi, Erica, and Diamond. Like, this has been going on for about over a decade. Like, This man plays this with them. He started off the show bitter about Diamond. I mean, the beginning of the entire Atlanta series, which was like 2012. It's 2014. It's been 12 years. We still talk about the show. It's iconic. He started off the show like the very beginning of the entire, not the show, the series, the whole series, getting with Erica because Diamond didn't want to be on the show. And, I remember Diamond is a part of Crime Mob, that great group. 23 flavors for this ooey gooey bubble gum, raspberry, grape, cherry. Come and get a scoop of some yummy yum, baby. Not your ordinary lady. Want to drop it? Listen, that was my shit. Okay. Rock Your Hips was a hit. Okay. And of course, Nuck If You Buck, iconic. But anyway, Diamond, who was a part of that group, Crime Mob, was dating Scrappy, but then they broke up because she cheated on him for Soulja Boy, apparently, and then she didn't want to go on the show. So then Scrappy still wanted to go on the show, so then he brought Erica Dixon, who was gorgeous, a lovely Libra. She got on the show. So then they had their ups and downs, and then he was messing with a woman named Shay. Okay, I forgot Shay too. Y'all remember Shay, who was on Flavor of Love, and then now she's on here. Her name is Shay Johnson. She's a reality show girl too. He messed around with her. Then he decided he didn't want to be with Shay no more. Got with Bambi. No, Erica again. Proposed to Erica. That proposal went down the drain. Then he meets Bambi. Loved Bambi, but then would dip and dive with Erica in between. But the thing that was messy about Scrappy is that whenever he got with the new girls, he would always bash his exes to them. And then the exes would weaponize the shade and throw it at the current girl. It was always that drama. He's done did this for over a decade. And I'm just like, what I would like to tell Scrappy, go to therapy, Scrappy, get healing. Black woman is not going to be your device. Like, that's my thing, is how these men use these black women to try to to heal them. Stop using black women as medicine. They're not medicine. Black women need their own healing, their own medicine, their own therapy, they're their own people. And they got to live for themselves in this world. And I get sick of the using of black women as props, like we see with Charlamagne the God, what he's doing in media, what Jonathan Majors is doing, what is now happening with Scrappy. Like, stop using women to fill in that void. Like, go get a therapist. Go get help. Like, go do the things. Go do the work. Just real rap. Like, that's just how I feel. But we've seen this happen for a while. And, at some point it gets corny, right? It gets corny. And that's something that I have personally noticed. But now he has left Bambi. Him and Bambi are divorced. And then he started going out with Diamond. Because there was a period of time when he was going in on Erica and it was really messy, and him and Bam. Now he's beefing with Bam. Then he was with Diamond. Now Diamond and them are not together. Now he's with Erica, playing around with Erica now. So it's just all this love circle. And I'm like, but what can I say? Now, this new show I've been watching, it's called The Traitors. It is on Peacock. Okay, Alan Cummings is the host. It is a mystery show. It is wild. It is diverse. Phaedra is killing it. Now, Phaedra was on Real Housewives of Atlanta, the iconic Phaedra. But now she's on Married to Medicine, and she's been very dull, people have said. I don't really watch Married to Medicine, but people have told me that she's been really dull this season. And I've also heard that Real Housewives of Potomac is dull. It went from being what was supposed to be the show that was going to eclipse everybody to now being just kind of redundant and boring and basic, which is kind of sad because I thought it was going to be on Jupiter. But you know how it go. But this show, The Traitors, Phaedra is on it. And she is hilarious. People have joked that said Married to Medicine needs to go ask for a refund, because what Phaedra is bringing on this show, The Traitors, is classic Phaedra. And I've always been a fan of Phaedra. I know she had her little controversy with Candy and whatnot, but honestly, Candy get on my nerves sometimes. So I've forgiven. But I enjoy Phaedra. Miss Phaedra be out here, lawyer. She's entertainment. She's gold. But check it out on Peacock. There's some episodes already out, and she's just been these first 3 episodes I've watched. She's just a star, baby. She's just bringing it. So that's this everything for this week's episode. Some major things are coming up this week. I don't want to say the word jinx, but I don't want to jinx it. But like, you will know when it happens. If it happens, you will know, because it's going to be earth-shattering. That's all I'm going to say. You're going to be like, what? It's going to be big. But I have to be quiet for now. And when you find out and it happens, we're going to talk about how it happened and what went down and more tea for that. But as always, be well and be best.
Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.